Thank you for joining us. This is Addis News Hour. With the news, I am Kirana Baina. Our first story. Member of the Executive Committee of the TPLF, Getachew Redda, underscored that the implementation of the Pretoria Agreement has been successful so far. He said the rehabilitation program for the ex-combatants will play an important role in ensuring lasting peace. Tigis Nessa has the following account.
Pretoria peace settlement reached between the federal government of Ethiopia and TPLF continued to be fruitful. Talking to journalists, member of the executive committee of the TPLF, Getachew Redda, disclosed that the implementation of the peace process has been successful so far.
Disengagement. A lot has been done so far, starting from disarmament, disengagement of combatants and withdrawal of Eritrean forces and other militia from pocket areas of Tigray regional state. Going forward, the two actors to the agreement, followed by a number of engagements between them, will do more on both military and political areas, focusing on strengthening achievements and correcting mishaps.
Getachew highlighted that the program for the rehabilitation of ex-combatants, which is part of the agreement, will not only ensure lasting peace, but also enables citizens who are discharged from combat to play an important role in reconstruction in other areas of development.
The ex-combatants were part of the society that comprised of teachers, doctors, engineers, and also farmers. So, when we think of rehabilitation, these ex-combatants will play a vital role in taking part in it. The created environment depicts that war won't solve any sort issues, rather tabling them.
He stated that necessary work has been done so that social services can be returned to rendering service in Tigray region pretty soon.
The necessary work has been done so that social services can be returned to normalcy. In terms of formation of internal government, it will be finalized after we hear from the federal government, and after that social services will start rendering services like they used to in Tigray region.
Getachew called on all actors to play its role in ensuring lasting peace in the region.
The Ministry of Agriculture said it has planned to harvest more than 52 million quintals of wheat from summer wheat irrigation. This remark came while senior officials of the Ministry of Agriculture, Regional Agriculture Bureau officials, and stakeholders visited the summer irrigated wheat production in Eastern Shawa Zone in Oromia region. Johannes Fantaun presents.
Ethiopia has been getting promising results in summer wheat irrigation schemes. The Ministry of Agriculture disclosed that more than 1.3 million hectares of land will be covered with irrigated wheat this year, of which more than 52 million quintals are expected to be harvested. Minister of Agriculture Girma Amante said that there has been a significant improvement in the production of irrigated wheat for the past 3 years. Adding, he pointed out that if the wheat production supplied to the market, it will significantly stabilize the soaring price of wheat in Ethiopia. For the past 3 years, we have recorded rapid growth in wheat production. When we started the summer wheat irrigation, it was 7,000 hectares. Now it has reached 1.3 million hectares. If we work in the same pace, we will not bother for the next. Although it is said that wheat is being widely produced in Ethiopia, farmers said the ever-increasing price of inputs is putting a lot of pressure on their work. The price of inputs is ever soaring, so the income we gain after selling has a big difference. For example, last year we bought diesel for 30 birr, but now we buy it for 70 to 80 birr. Also, the pesticides that we used to buy for 500 birr is now more than 2,000 birr. So it would be good if the government sets fixed price. According to the minister, in order to benefit wheat producers, the government has decided minimum market cost by putting the production cost of wheat into consideration. One thing the Ministry of Agriculture has done in relation to wheat price is we have calculated the costs of production that farmers spend when they grow wheat. Considering the labor costs, we have ensured that the producer does not sell that wheat below 3,200 birr per quintal. But if it gets more than this price, the farmers can sell it. The concern of the government is that if the farmers sell below the estimated price, the irrigated wheat production will be disrupted because it will not be profitable.
The
minister stated that currently there is a large shortage of wheat product and unbearable cost on consumers, adding that the main solution is increasing wheat production.
The Ethiopian Disaster Risk Management Commission has announced that more than 3.2 million citizens need urgent food aid due to the drought in Somali region. According to Ethiopian Disaster Risk Management Commission, the drought that hit 9 of the 11 zones in the Somali region is causing severe impact to people and their cattle. Excluding the latest survey, more than 3.2 million citizens need urgent assistance in the region due to the drought, he noted. The commission indicated that the number of beneficiaries may increase when the new survey being conducted in the region is completed. The World Food Programme is providing support to citizens affected by drought in the region, it was noted. The number of beneficiaries is high and increasing day by day, and more urgent support is needed. Hence, the official urged government organizations, NGOs, local and international partners, celebrity figures, and diasporas to support drought-affected citizens in the region.
The 70th Global
It's expected that
Ethiopia is what Ethiopians
Our news is always aired on Monday to Friday on 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. and also on Saturday and Sunday on 9 p.m. Make sure to follow us.
You're watching at this news hour. The investment of Pakistani business persons who had been exploring investment options in Ethiopia the past week could be $1 billion in the manufacturing sector. This came from Ethiopia's ambassador to Pakistan. More than 80 Pakistani investors had been exploring business and investment opportunities in Ethiopia throughout the 6 days of the previous week. Ambassador Jamal Becker told the Ethiopian news agency that the business delegation found Ethiopia rich with immense natural resources and untapped potential, which make the country a prime location for foreign direct investment. Subsequent to their visit, the business persons appear likely to invest $1 billion in major prioritized manufacturing areas. The investment opportunities and priority areas of the Ethiopian government have been explained for the investors by various bodies, including Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Dameqa Mokonnin. And the Pakistani investors have been eager to engage in agro-processing, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, textile, ICT, mining, technology, and other areas. Some of the investment firms will also invest in packaging, which is the backbone of the manufacturing industry. According to the ambassador, Ethiopia and Pakistan will sign memorandums of understanding in areas of investment, trade, and establishment of industrial zone. The African Development Bank Group urged African countries to boost intra-regional trade relations so as to stimulate the continent's economy. While talking to the Ethiopian news agency, President of the African Development Bank Group, Akinwumi Adesina, underlined that African countries should work aggressively to reduce economic vulnerability, shock on the international arena. We have more on that. Take a look.
The intra-regional trade among African countries only accounts less than 20%. It's against this background that President of African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, urged African nations to maximize regional trade relations and reduce the vulnerability of international economic shock.
Intra-regional trade in Africa is very small. It's only about 15 to 18%. If you compare that to Europe, you have about almost 69% of intra-regional trade. You look at the whole issue of Latin America, maybe about another 59%. In Asia, maybe about almost 41%. So we need to actually boost intra-regional trade. And the more you boost intra-regional trade, the more you reduce your vulnerability and vulnerabilities to global shocks that happens, geopolitical tensions that affect global supply chains and things like that. So it's very, very important.
Recently, 54 African countries have adopted the African Continental Free Trade Area to foster economic integration. To boost the intra-African trade, the President highlighted African Development Bank invested more to accelerate African Continental Free Trade Area over the past couple of years in Africa.
You're looking at an Africa Continental Free Trade Area that will link together economies worth about $3.4 trillion. It is the largest free trade zone in the world in terms of number of countries that are participating. So for us at the African Development Bank, integrating Africa is one of our high five priorities of the bank. And we've been doing this for a long time, even before the Africa Continental Free Trade Area was established. And so for us, we've invested in the last 7 years alone well over $44 billion in infrastructure, in ports, in rail, in airports, in digital infrastructure, in making sure that you have means in which people can actually move, mobility and for trade and services. So we've been doing that quite a lot.
Despite geopolitical risk in the international arena, Africa has registered the average economic growth by 4%, which is the highest economic growth, Adesina underlined. Adesina said the African Development Bank is expected 5 of the 10 fastest economic growth registering countries in the world to be African.
In a way, Africa is growing, and it's, one of the principles in swimming is if you can keep your head above water, it's always good. So Africa's head is well above water in a world where you have geopolitical risk, disruptions of supply chains and rising debt levels and depreciation of many currencies and so on. So Africa is doing quite well. In fact, 50 of the 52 countries in Africa that we looked at have posted positive growth rates, and we expect that 5 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world will be African countries again, so which is very, very important.
The African Development Bank is tirelessly working to expand its financial and technical support for African countries to eradicate extreme poverty and backwardness.
I just want to tell you guys, Akwaba, Karibu, welcome to Ghana!
My name is Princess Hatia. I am the globe-trotting princess and author. Welcome to my city, Accra. Accra is the capital of Ghana. Now today I'm taking you on a tour to various places in the city. We're currently at the Independence Square in Accra. Now, the Independence Square is the second largest square in the world after Tiananmen Square. Accra has about 4 million people. Accra is a major economic trading hub of Ghana. We're in Makola Market. Makola Market is the second largest market in West Africa. This is where I come to buy all my fabrics, food stuff. It's a busy, bustly place. It's a lovely place to come. So if you want to get any souvenirs, Makola Market is the place to come. Now, come on with me.
United Nations envoy to Libya, Abdoulaye Batley, called on Saturday for the rival administrations in the country to reach an agreement by mid-June and hold long-delayed elections by the end of the year. Libya remains split between a nominally interim government in Tripoli in the west and another one in the east, backed by military strongman Khalifa Haftar. The head of the Tripoli government, Prime Minister Abdulhamid Dibab expressed his support for the UN envoy's efforts, calling for fair and impartial elections. And from what we know, it would be possible if the electoral law are put in place in mid-June by end of the year to have these elections to take place, concluded the UN envoy. The UN initiative has been backed by Western powers, but is criticized by administrations supported by Haftar in the east, as well as by Russia, which supports it. A key factor in the stalemate is the fact that Haftar is a U.S. citizen. His rivals want rules that ban the candidacy of dual citizens and military figures. Of thousands of Israelis rallied against the government's judicial plans on Saturday night and what organizers said were the biggest street protests in Israel's history. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the change, which would curb the power of courts, will restore balance between the branches of government. Opponents say it threatens democracy. The story is presented as follows.
It was on Saturday. Protest organizers said as many as 500,000 demonstrators took to the streets across Israel for the 10th consecutive week, which is said the largest demonstration in the country's history. About 200,000 people turned up in Tel Aviv, many carrying Israeli national flag, to rally against planned reforms by Mr. Netanyahu's hardline government. BBC producer in the city described the protests as busy as yet, with a non-stop flow of demonstration packing the streets until late into the night. In remarkable scenes, crowds applauded Tel Aviv police chief Amichai said as he walked in uniform through the rally. Speaking at the demonstrations, Tel Aviv former Israeli police chief Moshe Karadi described Mr. Ben-Gvir's control of the force as an unprecedented danger.
I'm here to demonstrate and to sound my voice against the dictatorship that they are established here in the name of the so-called law, judicial reform. It's not a judicial reform, it's a revolution that's making Israel go to full dictatorship. And I want Israel to stay a democracy for my kids, for my grandson that will be here, because Israel is a democracy country and it must stay as one.
He said the minister was a convicted felon enacting a hostile takeover of the police and trying to turn into a private militia to serve his political purpose. In the northern city of Haifa, a record crowd of 50,000 marched on Saturday. The reforms aim to give the elected government decisive influence over the choice of judges and limit the ability of the Supreme Court to rule against the executive or strike down the legislation. The issue has caused deep divides in Israeli society and significantly has seen reservists, the backbone of Israel's military, threatening to refuse to serve as a way of showing their opposition. The government has stood firm in the face of their uproar, claiming the protests are being fueled by political opponents. Critics say the planned reforms, which are already making their ways through parliament, will politicize the judiciary and could lead to an authoritarian government. Mr. Netanyahu says the reforms are designed to stop the courts overreaching their powers and that they were voted for by the Israeli public at the last election.
We want democracy.
Now a reminder of the top stories before we go. TPLF says the Pretoria peace agreement has been successful so far.